Welcome back to the Pop Tournaments podcast. In Pop Tournaments, we take a category of pop culture and let you, the fans, vote on matchups. Are you laughing at me already?
No.
We let you, the fans, vote on matchups in a single elimination tournament format to determine an ultimate champion. We are here to discuss those results and the upcoming matchups. It is September 28th, 2020. I'm Jake Wicker. With me is Ryan Barrett.
What's happening?
And Jennifer Schmidt.
Hi, friends.
We are back once again this week. We're going to be talking about a few different things. We got our 80s and 90s one-hit wonders. We had some play-in games for our upcoming 50 Years of Horror movie tournament. So we got a lot to get to, but it is Monday once again. Hope everybody out there had a good weekend. Jennifer, how was your weekend?
It was nice. It was quiet. We watched the new Enola Holmes movie on Netflix.
Nice.
A family movie night. It was super fun. Yeah. And then my husband watched football all day Sunday.
Attaboy.
Yep.
He's back in. He's now back in.
Yeah, all right, good.
Ryan, how was your weekend?
It was great. My wife Rebecca and I celebrated our 11-year wedding anniversary.
Yeah.
Happy anniversary.
Awesome.
Yeah, so we went out on Saturday night to Woodfire Cantina. We followed up your, I wouldn't call it a recommendation, but you mentioned it on the podcast, so
I did.
And we had a very similar experience. We thought it was fine. But we had a really, really good time. Just like going out to a patio, and like it was kind of drizzly that night. So it's kind of just like added to the experience, you know, when things are not ideal and it's like a little bit cold and uncomfortable. But some of the stuff was really good. We had the queso crisp, which is just basically like a giant tortilla that's like covered in different cheeses and thrown in the wood fire grill. So it's like crispy around the outside. And then like serrano peppers, kind of like julienne around in it too, with some nice salsa. That was really good. And there were, you know, other than that, the tacos we had were pretty good. But not amazing, but a really fun time. Other than that, we got home and we watched a new Netflix horror movie called #Alive.
Not the other Alive.
It's a new Korean movie. I thought it was pretty good. You know, I'd say I gave it 3 out of 5 stars. It's like I wouldn't heartily recommend it, but it was fine. If you're looking for something that's like entertaining, I mean, throw it on. It's not gonna be upsetting in any way. It's as far as it's kind of like very similar. It's a zombie movie. It's very similar in zombie styling as 28 Days Later, where it's like, you know, they get the like rage style, like super aggressive, running, like scary.
Fast zombies.
Yeah. But it's pretty light, honestly. Like it's kind of cutesy in parts and like kind of like you know, elements of like rom-com mixed in.
Okay.
So it's you know, it's definitely not too heavy. There are some scary moments, but overall it was fine. And then you know, like Shocktober it's so funny. It's not even October yet, and I'm like, yep, celebrating Shocktober, watching at least one horror movie a week. I just got done watching Maniac, which is a 1980 like slasher movie, serial killer movie, which I know has been on a lot of lists of, you know, the best horror movies of all time or whatever from the 80s, and it was pretty good. I liked it. It's definitely like, you know, it has some really scary moments.
Yeah.
The thing though that I mean it was really well paced. It's like a 90-minute movie, but very entertaining. So yeah, I would recommend that for people as long as you know what you're getting into. I mean, it's a slasher movie from 1980. So it's not it doesn't really hold up to today's you know, climate. But
Yeah.
as far as like
Is
an
it
80s horror flick, I thought it was pretty good.
is it as well paced as a Ryan Barrett monologue?
Oh, much better. Much better.
Sorry about that. Uh, did so yeah, it sounds like you had a nice weekend, getting caught up or getting ready for Shocktober, kind of rolling your way into it with some new movies and a very very happy anniversary to you and Rebecca.
Thank you.
Yes.
Happy, super happy for you guys. One other thing that you and I both did, since Pop Tournaments is going so well,
Yeah.
and what else are we gonna do? We started a second podcast for all of you out there who need some insight into the daily fantasy sports world when it comes to football, and with a little bit of attempted comedy on the side. Check out the DFS Detectives. We record on Friday nights so that you get the super up to date information. For me, I was doing kind of the same thing. I was catching up on some scary movies. Watched original Halloween. Then I went back and watched one of my personal favorite movies, Beetlejuice.
Mm.
Love that movie. Doesn't belong on a horror movie list in my opinion, but oh man, I do love Beetlejuice. Such
It
a
has,
fun movie.
it has great like horror practical effects.
Oh yeah.
Even though it's not like a horror movie, it's still like in the effects world. It kind of lies in that same
What I got to thinking
realm.
about while watching it though, and we'll talk about costumes definitely a lot over the next month. But you always see when people dress up as Beetlejuice for Halloween, you always see him in the classic striped suit, which he doesn't wear until the very end of the movie. The most of the time he's in the trench coat, looking like a dirtbag, and
Yeah,
I want to be that Beetlejuice. I want to be the
Yeah.
trench
yeah,
coat
Uh-huh.
Beetlejuice.
Dirtbag Beetlejuice.
Yeah, no kidding. Fits me well, right? Um, so almost got a spit take there. Um, I also not in the horror genre, but it was on my list for years and just never gotten around to seeing it because it wasn't on any streaming services. But finally saw Whiplash.
Oh,
For
I love that movie.
I loved it
Oh, it's so
yeah.
good.
so much, and it's
Drew Barrymore is amazing in that
hold on,
movie.
wrong Whiplash.
I'm
Yeah,
just
those.
kidding. I'm talking about Whip It.
I love both of those. Yeah, I love
Yeah,
both of
That's
those
right.
movies too.
It's
I
called
love
Whip
Whip
It.
It
That's
as well.
You got
Whiplash is
me.
amazing.
You
I've
got me.
actually never
Yep.
seen Whip It.
Uh,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no, just a really fun movie. I don't recommend coming in halfway through it, because that's what happened. So I stayed up way too late. I watched the first half late one night. Started it the next morning when I got up. My girlfriend woke up and came out right probably 10 minutes after I had restarted it. Had no idea what was going on. Was extremely frustrated by the whole thing.
Not my tempo.
Not my
Yeah.
yeah. How come people aren't saying that? That never caught on.
No.
That should be the new GIF we send people on Twitter when we disagree with them.
Yeah,
Not my
I like
tempo.
that. Not my tempo.
Well, and we hope everybody out there in the Pop Tournaments world also had a fantastic weekend. But let's get into some of this voting that we had going on. So our first play-in games that we've had, because it was really hard to narrow this down to 32. So had a few play-in games for you guys to help us decide. On the psychological side, just as a review, we had The Witch, The Babadook, Hereditary, and Suspiria. When I saw Suspiria on here, I thought Ryan was trying to pull a fast one on me and slip a Def Leppard song in there. But
Suspiria. Suspiria.
funny that Def Leppard, I always loved that song Animal because I thought it was about Animal from the Muppets.
Yeah.
Turns out,
I want to hear that song.
right?
I want to hear a Def Leppard song about Animal from the Muppets. I'm in.
I mean,
Now,
I want a whole
one,
album of songs about different Muppets. Like, let's have a
yeah.
Bunsen and Beaker song. Let's have a Sam Eagle song. Yeah.
All right.
Imagine how, like, the way Animal's drumming style would change if he only had one arm.
Yeah.
Now, that's inside message to our friends at VH1. We know you're in close with Def Leppard. They could revive their career with an album entirely written about different Muppets. No, but so winning out of those four, we had, or currently voting is still open until midnight, but it looks like it's going to be the Babadook and Hereditary. I'm excited about these.
Yeah.
Anything quick that we want to add about the Babadook?
No, I mean, I'm
makes a great costume.
It does make a great costume. Classic picture out there on the internet.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything else that we didn't cover already in last week's, but I think both of these movies are very worthy of making it into the field of 32. I'm a little bummed that The Witch is looking like it's going to be on the outside, but that's we wanted the people to have this choice, and this is what the people wanted. So
yeah, it's nice. One thing I really like about Hereditary, we're gonna get a little Ann Dowd in this tournament. Everybody, I'm a big fan.
Terrifying.
She had a lot of she kind of really, I don't want to say burst onto the scene because she's been in a lot of different roles, but right in that mid 2010s, she had appearance in the first season finale of True Detectives, and she was on The Leftovers and The Handmaid's Tale, and just bangers.
My introduction to her was she had a brilliant performance in this movie.
I bet I know it.
I'm drawing a blank on the name of it. Compliance. Thank you.
I have it down. That was I have it written down. That was my introduction to her.
And I remember that year, I usually write up like a yearly snubs and flubs kind of post on Facebook where I say who, I think should have been nominated for Oscars and who I think shouldn't have been. She was my pick that year for supporting actress who I think should have been nominated. She was so great in that movie. Little did I know that she would go on to be like in a ton of things. She's had so much success, and between her and Margot Martindale,
another great one.
They've really cornered that market. So.
Yes.
No, I think we should throw that out. That is a mini reco, and I'm gonna give that reco and say this is one of those movies. Don't know anything about that movie going into it. I believe it's out there on a streaming service. I think I've seen it on one of the free it's something you don't have to pay for. It's either on Netflix or Hulu, but Compliance. I ended up going down a really strange Dennis Rodman hole, or wormhole, if you will.
Well played.
Looking through Ann Dowd's IMDb credits, went all the way back. She was in 2 episodes of a very short-lived show in 1990 called The Babysitter's Club.
Oh,
no
yeah.
shit.
Now, also, unfortunately not on either of her episodes, he was only in 1 episode, and it wasn't either of hers, was a young Zach Braff.
Oh.
Years later, the two would work together on a little indie flick called Garden State. Boom.
Wow.
That's my Dennis Rodman hole.
Love it. It's got to be a new bit. Dennis Rodman hole of the week.
All right. And then on the other side, we had two open spots for our monsters bracket. That was between A Quiet Place, The Fly, Let the Right One In, and It Follows. The two that are moving on is A Quiet Place and The Fly. Are you all ready for some Jeff Goldblum? He's been everywhere lately. He's doing commercials,
Yeah.
all these different movies. It's crazy. He's all over the place. So
Yeah, his show on Disney Plus is really funny, not on purpose. But if you want to see a really funny like bit, he does a like a in one of his Disney Plus shows, he's doing a thing with like a sports science kind of thing, like somebody's attaching sensors to him to and then he's running. I think it's like to design sneakers. And so that's what it is. The episode's
Okay.
about sneakers. So
Ah.
he's running with all these sensors on him and stuff, and he looks so fucking weird. He's like, and they're like, no, like just run like a normal person. And he's like, oh, okay. And then he like runs again, and they're like, no,
No.
like never mind.
he's like, I'm not playing a dinosaur in this movie. Is that
Yeah.
what we're doing
Yeah.
here?
Duh.
Yeah,
He's just
But
not
it's-
a normal person.
No.
So, yep.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think he's one of those guys though that I would love to have in my group of friends. Not necessarily like a I want to see you every week friend, but
Yeah.
just kind of there. You know, you might need a little bit of a different kind of weekend every now and then. And that's what Jeff Goldblum's
Yeah.
here for.
Let's hang out with Goldie.
Yeah,
Yep. Yeah.
you get in a fight with your significant
Madcap
other.
Adventures.
You know what? I'm gonna go hang out with my friend Jeff.
Yeah.
Jeff's no good for you. So yeah, that's gonna fill out our bracket for the 50 years of horror. And a Quiet Place. Let's not forget we're gonna get lots of
Oh, yep.
John Krasinski mugging for the screen.
Yeah, that's
Yep.
you know, like I said in the previous episode, Quiet Place, not my favorite of these movies. Not I didn't think it was terrible, but it was obviously very popular, and that's kind of what this tournament is all about. Is like iconic horror movies, popular horror movies. We're not trying to make a tournament of the most like critically acclaimed horror movies ever, or the most cultish horror movies ever, because we've kind of learned as we're fine-tuning this whole tournament style, that the most popular ones are just gonna win anyway. So it's more interesting to have a tournament of the most iconic.
And you know what? We'll just do what we want anyways.
Yeah.
I don't think it's very unlikely to happen, but I think it would be fun if those two movies faced off. That would be a meme and GIF battle to end all meme and GIF battles. If you had A Quiet Place versus The Fly with those Goldblum and Krasinski's, we'd love that. Cool. But yeah, that rounds it out. So that starts on Wednesday. Hope everybody is excited about that. I love I love seeing people angry with it also. That give me your tears. I love it.
Yeah.
But we do have to finish off the one hit wonders. So 80s champion versus 90s champion tomorrow. But let's kind of see how we got there. In the 90s bracket, we'll hit that first. We had Love Fool beating Rhythm of the Night 91-60. I think Rhythm of the Night just they weren't hitting their threes. They're a live or die by the 3-point shot team. So
they didn't have the fundamentals.
And then I'm gonna be 500 miles beating Torn. Jennifer, you loved that.
I did. I was happy about that.
If anybody goes back and listens, Jennifer was calling how well I'm gonna perform in this tournament. She really knew what was going on there. Torn. The lyrics are all over the place, and then nothing's fine. I'm torn. I don't know.
It's fine.
I think part of it was, and I didn't really realize this, but I think it is. Somebody said, like, I think it was you, Jake, said this song was originally like Danish or something. The lyrics, so it makes sense that it was kind of translated strangely and would make the lyrics sort of not fully, hold up to scrutiny.
Oh, this was a direct translation.
Danish to like Australian and then back, to hear that it's kind of like,
This wasn't like New King James Bible or anything. This was a direct translation. That's exactly what they meant.
But yeah, I'm so just real quick, I definitely I was really happy that I'm gonna beat Torn, and I was thinking, all right, well, I really wanted I wanted Rhythm of the Night to beat Love Fool, and 500 Miles to beat Torn, and then have that night, like, I was going to be really happy with the way the Final Four was shaping up. And then when Love Fool got in, it was like, all right, well, at least we got 500 Miles still. And then... Not so fast.
It took it out. And kind of at the last minute, I feel like 500 Miles had a pretty solid lead through most of the day over Love Fool.
It was Instagram. The Instagram demo pushed it over the edge. I'm going to be one on Facebook by, like, single digit votes, like 2 or 3 votes. But on Instagram, Love Fool won like by 25 votes or something.
Funny.
And I think it was just by 1 on Twitter. So that must have been that.
So vote on all 3 platforms.
That must have been all of my fake Instagram accounts.
Your Finstas?
Yeah. I got
the
26 of them.
Finstas.
I love
it. Love Fool is in the semifinals right now. Over on the
I honestly would, like, starting off, going back to us previewing this bracket, that would have been like I never would have guessed
I didn't think it was
going
to get out of the first round. Yeah.
No.
You got to watch out for those 5 seeds.
Fully.
Yeah.
Yeah, really. That's wild. It's so funny because the 80s bracket has broken down so, like, predictably. Even though it's a 4 seed in the final, I'm like, yep, this all makes perfect sense. Match by match, there haven't really been any big upsets. Yeah. This bracket was just fucked from day one. It was like, all right, crumple it up, throw it in the trash.
Oh yeah, no, that is true. That is something that's just been again, so many just different strange matchups throughout the 90s, but they've all been so fun. I've really enjoyed this. On the other side, so we had a number 2, Groove is in the Heart, beating Return of the Mac 92-82. That one was really close. Return of the Mac just had too many turnovers. They had the game in control, but just turned it over late. And so Groove in the Heart was into the semifinals. And then up above that, I was absolutely shocked by this. Bittersweet Symphony beating This Is How We Do It. Mm-hmm. I thought it was the 90s party anthem was going to take it all down.
Yeah.
I would have bet the farm. This was as much of a lock as you can get. This was like, Derrick Henry going up against the Jets. Like, just lock it in.
Yeah, and by a full 15.
I think you guys are underestimating people's love of posting Reese Witherspoon gifs, because that's what the whole comment section under this turned into. Like, gifs of her from Cruel Intentions, and it was pretty great.
Why and nobody posted the video of her getting arrested and trying to say, "I'm Reese Witherspoon."
Yeah,
do you know who I am?
Let's post that. But yeah, that's going on right.
Have you have either of you ever said that in real
I'm
life?
Reese Witherspoon. Don't you know who I
D-
am?
no, just don't you know who I am?
No.
That's how you know you finally made it.
Yeah, yeah. I've said it. I haven't. It's never worked.
I actually thought it this week because you guys know, like, I'm a teacher, and so we're like just 2.5 weeks into the school year, and so I'm sending out emails Friday afternoon to all of my students who like haven't done anything so far, in the past 2.5 weeks, because they could still get caught up. It's still a good place. I'm sending home parent emails. Sent home one to a student that this is the 3rd year that he's had me in class. And it's like, dude, you know how this is going to go, buddy. Like, why are we still playing this game? You've had me as a teacher. You know I'm going to email home. Your mom knows me by now. Like, I know your mom. She's going to make you do all this work. You're not going to have a fun weekend. Why are we still doing this? Don't you know who I
Yeah.
am? Jennifer the Reckoning.
Yep. It's gonna happen. Do your damn homework.
Yep.
So, right now, as it stands, I guess I know nobody will hear this until Wednesday, and the matchup will already be over. Don't forget about your DeLoreans. Right now, we have Bittersweet Symphony with 86 and Love Fool with 72.
Pretty
wow,
close.
people are crazy. I don't know what is going on. But before we switch over to the 90s one-hit wonder, let's thank our sponsor, Showtime Hard Seltzer. Check out our new Berry Ray Donovan flavor. I'm going to have to get myself some of that Ray Donovan Hard Seltzer. That sounds good.
Sounds great.
All right. I'm glad they're sponsoring us this week. That's a... They send over some
I've
freebies.
had the Dexter Blood Orange.
That sounds delicious too. I'm gonna have to check them out. So yeah, jumping over to the 80s. So here's something that I found really weird about just this overall tournament. The 80s matchups, just all of them as a whole, always got more votes, more interaction than the 90s. People were definitely more interested in those songs, like total votes across the board. So much more on the 80s side than the 90s side.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, because we definitely have a very strong 90s youth representation in our little community here. So, yeah, it kind of struck me as odd, but like you said, Ryan, it kind of went as it should have, for the most part, ranking wise. Overall in the final four, we had 2 number 1 seeds, a number 2 seed, and a number 4 seed. So, fairly close there. But started out with a really big matchup. Come On Eileen, going 122 to 71 over the Safety Dance. I thought that would be closer.
No, but, Safety Dance is a terrible song.
Honestly, 122 to 71 on that, I thought was pretty close. That was a very respectable showing.
I guess they didn't get doubled up. I don't think I mentioned this, and I apologize if I mentioned it on a previous episode, but there used to be a reoccurring Conan sketch where he would tap into the NBC the big satellites on top of it, and scroll through all the weird channels that he could find out there on cable. And there was one where the channel was literally just a repeating sitcom of the lead singer from the Safety Dance. And he would always respond in Safety Dance style, singing to every question he was asked. And by the end, his wife wanted to get divorced, and we can get divorced if you want to, leave everyone behind.
God, I missed the old Conan was so great.
It was
late night.
It really was.
I mean, that was for our generation what David Letterman was for the 80s, for like Gen X, where people will talk about like, people who we love, like comedians from the 90s, will say like, "Oh man, I used to stay up and watch David Letterman every night, and that's what like informed my sense of humor."
Mm-hmm.
I think that's kind of what our generation had with Conan. Where like
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I remember in like my freshman sophomore year of high school and beyond even like staying up and watching Conan and just waiting for the sketches.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, so
Well,
so
see,
much
I
gold.
was such I was such a dorky kid that I wasn't into the popular stuff, and so I watched Letterman while everybody else was watching Conan. And then, of course, I was the dorky kid, at thinking, "Oh, I'm cool. I'm hanging out with the adults at the
Yep.
adult party." Hey, did you see the
Yeah.
top 10 list the other night? Get away from me, kid.
You're like, hey,
It was
so
a pretty good top 10 list.
Yeah.
yeah, you took the words right out of my mouth. That's exactly what I was gonna make a top 10 reference. You're on the lunch table, like, hey guys, did you see last night's top 10? Top
Mm-hmm.
10 reasons why Bill Clinton is. So,
Yep. I had a book of the top 10 lists.
me too.
I had multiples.
Yep. Yep. Didn't understand, like, a third of them at all.
Yep.
But,
I also had a book of Jay Leno's headlines, which was
I
actually
used to love
really.
headlines.
I actually got a lot of enjoyment out of that book.
I love how David Letterman had good writers and Jay Leno just tried to wring everything he could out of people who weren't working for him. Send in your own headlines.
Yeah.
We'll give you nothing. Yeah, so that was Come On Eileen beating the safety dance.
That's where we were. What are we talking about?
Right below that, we had the freight train that is Take On Me. Putting
Yes.
literally melting. I melt with you. They melted them out of the tournament. 135 to 42, just a trouncing. And so here we are in the semifinals. We literally have Duke versus Kentucky, and once again, Take On Me just got it done, 116 to 79. Over Come On Eileen.
Yep.
I was happy to see it go this way, just because, like you said on an earlier episode, Ryan, Come On Eileen seems to be one of those consensus, number one picks on the lists when it comes to the lists, and so I like to see our voters say, hey, we're not defined by lists.
Nothing against our friends at VH1, but it's nice to have something a little bit different.
So
you got it wrong on this one.
I listened to I don't know if you remember back to maybe our last.
Do you remember?
It was about a month ago. Our Questos and Recos episode. I mentioned a podcast called Hit Parade, and I was talking about how they were coming out with a One Hit Wonders episode. That was going to be their next episode. Was all about One Hit Wonders. Well, it just dropped. And it was great. It was really interesting. They talked about, because a lot of the episode was dedicated to defining what a one hit wonder was. And he went through a lot of the same problems that we went through, a lot of the same quagmires, like, oh, wait, but if you're saying it can't have, if you're saying it, I'm just pretending like that didn't happen, by the way. If you're pretending, or if you're saying that, if an artist has a second top 40 hit, then they're not a one hit wonder. Then that knocks out, like, for example, they talked about that VH1 list, their first one hit wonders, greatest one hit wonders list from like 2002, and they said if you took if those artists had a second hit, it would disqualify 77 out of the 100.
Oh wow.
Yes. Yep.
So they went through and kind of talked about rules that kind of work down what makes a true one hit wonder. But anyway, Take On Me was Aha was one of the people who they said was a really interesting case, because they are a true one hit wonder in the United States. But
But
they're also like massive celebrities, like pretty much all around the world except for
how
here.
funny.
Yeah.
Like they're, to this day still like touring all around the world. They're just not here. And it's like,
Yep.
I'm sure they're fine with that. They're like, oh yeah, so
Yeah.
I think a lot of
we're
people
like
are fine
swimming
with
in
not
money.
coming to
I
the
don't give
United
a fuck
States right
that
now.
nobody in the United
Right.
States knows who we are. But
Yeah.
but yeah, I thought that was interesting.
Uh, then so again, they are just seemingly unstoppable throughout this tournament. On the other side, um, we had Tainted Love beating Died in Your Arms Tonight, 101-67, a little closer. One thing that I really loved, looking into this, and I wrote a little bit about it in the copy for one of the matchups for Tainted Love, but this was kind of a last second release for them. They had originally been covering a song called The Night by Frankie Valli in the Four Seasons. So I went back and I listened to both versions, and both of them are absolute bangers.
It slaps. I listened on Jake's recommendation. I listened to both, and the Frankie Valli version is good. The soft cell version is better.
I'll have to check it out.
It's closer for me. I think I agree with you. The reason I loved the Frankie Valli version so much is because it definitely, it wasn't a hit at the time, but I love that. I love those old songs that aren't so watered down. Where it felt like they were kind of maybe taking some chances. Maybe you can see a situation where the group's like, no, this song goes on the record, and the record label didn't want it on there, and then we wouldn't have had the soft cell version. So yeah, check out The Night by Frankie Valli and the Four Seasons. And then up above them, our international conflict of the tournament. It was almost another Cold War. We had German superstars Nena with 99 Luftballons defeating Iran 71-63. This one again, it was close.
That was a close one all day. Yep.
Tensions were high. Ahmadinejad was not happy. But yeah, and so in that semifinal matchup, this was kind of so I know we're about to start our horror movies tournament, and I swear these are all just coincidences. We're not trying to create a seance here or anything. But Tainted Love also had 116 votes, just like Take On Me, defeating 99 Luftballons, who had 66, which is just an upside down 99.
And if you don't know, 66 is the mark of the beast.
2/3.
Yeah. Oh, well.
You get 2/3 of the beast.
Yep.
Top third, bottom
What the
third.
heck? Devil goes out and he goes, what the heck? He's just missing his torso.
So oh boy, we get silly. So then our championship matchup for the 80s, and Duke came out and crushed Tainted Love. Take On Me crushed Tainted Love, 107-67. Not quite doubling up, but I looked at it, added up. Tainted Love throughout this Take On Me throughout this entire tournament has garnered 623 votes.
Wow.
You
guys really love that song.
It's a great song.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
It is. It holds up. Yeah.
I remember when I was at a party, which was very common for me back in the 2000s, back in the aughts. I was at a party and I thought I was so cool because I was like, 20.
You're a party kid now.
Let's say I was, it was probably 2007.
Okay.
So, I was I was an old kid,
Mm-hmm.
I was basically like a super, 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 super senior. Um, and there were some kids at the party who were like 21 or something like that. And I was like, oh, these kids are so dumb. They're like listening to like Young Jeezy and stuff. And I was trying to like lord over them, like how cool I was because I had like long hair and like I was,
Mm-hmm.
I got a lot of attention at parties. And so I was like, prove to me, I was like, you can smoke this bowl with me if you can tell me what the best song of the 80s was. And in my head, I'm like, it's Take On Me. And they go, Take On Me. They said, Take On Me. And I was like, we're smoking together,
All
guys.
right, all right.
So real quick, I think we gotta grab the gold while it's sitting right in front of us. Pop Tournament's T-shirt, Pop Tournament's logo on the front, on the back. I used to get a lot of attention at parties.
Don't you know who I am?
Okay. Let's we'll just cut there, and we'll just cut that last part out. We don't want anybody stealing that idea. But it almost seems now again while we're recording this, we still have Loveful versus Bittersweet Symphony going on, and maybe I'll just continue to be shocked. Maybe Bittersweet wins for the '90s and somehow takes down Take on Me, but I just don't even think it's possible.
That would be a shock.
I think it's going to be
a huge shock.
just a runaway, and we should have seen it. I mean, Take is right there in the name.
It's gonna take the goal. Yep.
But yeah, like I said, while we're recording that, it is still Loveful versus Bittersweet Symphony. You know what was kind of struck me as odd about that matchup is they both can be seen, not necessarily what they're about, but definitely the way they were used by kids when they were popular. They're breakup songs. On one side, you have love, whoever's getting broken up with is probably sitting there sobbing, listening to that song. And, if you're a jerky 17-year-old boy, instead of actually breaking up with your girlfriend, you just send her Bittersweet Symphony and say, sorry, babe. It's a bittersweet symphony. Now pay the Rolling Stones.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, that kind of wraps it up. I'm excited to see who wins tonight and then wins in that overall matchup. And really excited about our upcoming tournament. We already made our picks. You know what I'll say? Does anybody have any dark horses out of there that you think are sneaky ones? I think we kind of all picked pretty popular.
I think Bittersweet Symphony has a chance to go all the way to the championship game.
Championship game of the horror movies, yes.
Yep.
For sure. They are a dark horse indeed. I mean, that movie does, or that video does.
It would be a surprise.
Yeah.
Surprise, surprise. They won the next 3 tournaments. It's a dynasty.
I think, I don't know how big of an upset it would be, but I think Nightmare on Elm Street.
I think it has a chance to go far.
Yeah. I don't know how much love Halloween has as a, 70s movie. Another one is Scream. I think that slasher category is pretty wide open. I feel like Halloween could get
especially with all us 90s kids in here. Like, we've got a bunch of, 90s kids. That one was huge for us. So.
Scream is like the love fool of horror movies.
It is. Yeah, very much is.
So I tried to rewatch that this weekend, and I was shot down 20 minutes into the movie. I had to beg to get it started, and then was told to turn it off 20 minutes in. So,
wow,
not everybody. I like it, but watching it, I'm not. It's not doesn't hold up for any like bad reasons, but it is pretty corny. And the series doesn't. It just gets cornier as it goes. So.
Oh yeah, the series definitely gets worse. But that first, it was just so different. Like you hadn't had that self-referential, like humor.
Yeah.
In a slasher movie.
Yeah, and again, go ahead.
You know who I've never liked, and this was like the peak of it, was Matthew Lillard. I just cannot stand him. I liked him as a child actor, but he in like Scream and everything after, I'm just like, no. Shaggy, leave it to Casey Kasem.
Or Shaggy. Just leave Shaggy to Shaggy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let Shaggy play Shaggy.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'd be in for
I'd watch that.
Scooby-Doo remake.
Oh, I want to see that interpretation. Yeah.
I would love that. Apparently they're making another Scream. Again, it just won't die.
Yeah.
All of these.
Yep, working on that 90s nostalgia.
Yeah.
Well,
I wonder if Ray Donovan will be in it.
Yeah.
Liev Schreiber.
Well,
yeah, he was in the second one, right?
Yeah. Well, he's great. Yeah. I like Liev Schreiber.
They need to realize it and kind of take the I think Stranger Things already showed us, and if Stranger Things didn't show us enough, the pop tournaments 80s and 90s one hit wonders tournament showed you that people like the 80s more than the 90s.
Yeah.
Stop trying to milk that 90s nostalgia. Get out there and milk some cows. So, yeah, well, that wraps up our episode for this week. Hope everybody has a great week ahead. We have a question out there right now on the Facebook page asking people about their favorite Halloween costumes. So hope everybody's going to share a bunch of pictures with us, because I, for one, I love seeing Halloween costumes. So yeah, we'll get talking about that. We've got a Questos and Recos episode coming up next week for you, and then all of our first round matchups for the horror movie tournament.
So excited.
So very excited. Get out there and watch those horror movies. We'll attach the trailers on the matchups, and we hope everybody has a fun tourney time.
Adios.
Bye.